Here we are, and we're in the section on conversion of measurements. Okay, so this is the next section of the advanced math test. So let's try and get a little bit more room here. So we have a snowstorm, and it drops 16 inches of snow. The middle schoolers build a wall that's 1 2/3 yards tall. How many inches tall is it? Well, this is one of those cases where I tried to give you practice the idea that you can get extra information. So the children tend to use every single bit of information, but in this case, the 16 inches doesn't really matter. It's the wall got made at 1 2/3. So let's draw the wall this way. And so if this is 1, then in the next part, it's 1 2/3, so the actual wall is this tall. So then we just say, well, if this is a yard, so this much is 36 inches. And then how much is 1/3 of a yard? So this is 12 inches, and this is 12 inches, and that's the top of the wall. So it looks like it's 36 plus 24, which equals 60 inches. Okay. So it's 5 feet tall. Our beloved Mr. Bill is once again the star of the story. So he's coming back from Brazil with some Brazil nuts. He's only allowed to have 31 ounces of nuts on the plane, but he has 2 3/8. So if that's too many, he has to give some away. Okay, so he gives ounces back. So he has too many. How much does he have to give back? And so what do we have? We have nuts. So let's look at our nuts here. So in our nuts, we have 2 3/8 pounds. So here's 1 pound, 2 pounds, and 3/8. Well, let's say that it actually is the third pound. Well, we could divide it up, and we could say this last pound in halves, in quarters, and even in eighths. So how much does Mr. Bill have? He has 2 and then 3/8. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3/8. 2 and 3/8. Well, there's 16 ounces in a pound. So we have 16 and 16. Well, how much is 1/8 of a pound? Well, 16 divided by 8 equals 2. So each of these eighths here is 2 ounces. So it's 3/8. 3/8 of a pound. So 2, 2, and 2. So we have 16 plus 16 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. So 32 plus 6, 38. So 38 minus, he can have 31, equals 7. 7 ounces, yeah, he's 7 ounces over. So 2 pounds, 32. 3/8 of a pound is 6 out of 16. 32 plus 6, 38, minus 31. So we have to know our ounces, quarts, gallons, all that kind of thing. This question's a little bit tricky because it has a 4-ounce cup, so you don't want to get confused by the fact that you can have a physical cup, might have 4 ounces in it, as opposed to the measurement cup. So we have 4 quarts of lemonade are added to 4 quarts of limeade. So altogether we have 8 quarts. So let's show that. So we've got, split it up, and we'll say, okay, altogether We've got 2, 4, 6, 8 quarts when we add it together, the quarts of lemonade, quarts of limeade. Well, how many ounces is that? Well, so we have 32 ounces in a quart. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we need to add that all together. So how much is that? So we need to figure that out first. Well, it's 8 times 32. So 8 times 32 is 8 times 30 plus 8 times 2. So that equals 240 plus 16 equals 256. So now we can remake our problem. And we say, we know what we have. We have 256. And how much are we going to have? So each cup is going to be 4. Okay, so we start out. And the question is, how many of these 4-ounce cups? So 1, 2. We don't know how many of them we get out of the 256. So we just divide 256 divided by 4. So we can share out 6. 1 left, 16, so 64. So we were able to share out 64. So we have 64 4-ounce cups that we can get. So Mr. James is growing some vegetables, and he has 15 2/3 square yards. We're going to change that into square feet. Okay, what's bigger? So square yards are bigger. We're going from bigger to smaller. So we're going to have more of them. We'll have more square feet than square yards. If you can't remember, just make yourself a diagram and say, if this is a yard, and this side is a yard, so now I have a square, that's a square yard. And I draw in the feet, so 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot, make a yard. 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot, make a yard. So how many of these square feet do I get from this? So it's 3 by 3, so I get 9. So 1 yard equals 3 times 3 equals 9 square feet. So then we just say 15 2/3 times 9. And with this one you can change it into 15 plus 2/3 times 9, because we're just multiplying by a whole number, times 9. So that's 15 times 9 plus 2/3 times 9. So 15 times 9 is 90 plus 45. 9 times 10 plus 9 times 5, 135, plus 2/3 of 9. Well, a third of 9 is 3, so 2/3 of 9 is 6. So we get 90 plus 45, 135, plus 6, 141. Our last problem in this section has our hero, Mr. Dennis. And Mr. Dennis is going walking. And so he walks 5.6 kilometers. Okay? But then he said, well, that's not a very big number, so let's change to how many centimeters I went. And he went 789,000 centimeters. So we want to add these guys together. And so, well, let's figure out, first, I would suggest, let's figure out how many meters are in 789,000. So we say, okay, we've got this big number, 789,000. And how many are in each meter? So here's our meters. And each meter has, so each meter contains 100 centimeters. Okay. And the question is, so we can keep doing that, is how many times can we get 100? Okay. And so we have the total, and we have what's in a box. There's 100 centimeters in each box. So this is a division problem. Okay. And so if you have 789,000 divided by 100. Well, dividing by 100 is just like removing the two zeros. And so we have this many meters, 7,890. So now we say, okay, I know how many meters I have. 7,890 meters. And now I want to make kilometers. So here's the first kilometer, and the first kilometer has 1,000, and the next kilometer has 1,000. And the question is, how many other total? So now we divide by 1,000. So we're going to divide by 1,000. So we have 7,890 divided by 1,000. And to do that, we're going to move the decimal point over 1, 2, 3. Or you could say I move one of the zeros and move the decimal point over. So we get 7.89. Now, does that make sense? Well, in terms of the problem, it doesn't seem that much different than what you walked the other time. So we have 7.89 kilometers and 5.6. And remember, there's no real difference between 5.6 and 5.60, so we can add that if it makes it easier for you. So then we say, oh, altogether, Mr. Dennis walked 13 and 49 hundredths kilometers.